from 10 until 11 on WHOW on AM and FM and on the WHOW streams. We provide farmers and ranchers with timely insights and information aimed at improving their operations. Join me, Chip Flory, weekdays at 10:06 on Central Illinois Ag Station, WHOW.
If your heart beats for the heartland, for the pace and rhythm of the life we enjoy here, you'll be relieved to know you're close to experts who can care for your heart if it falls out of rhythm or the pace is not what it should be. At Prairie Cardiovascular, our doctors have a passion for pursuing advances in care, for providing the right treatment at the right time, whatever your needs. When you choose Prairie Cardiovascular, you'll know your heart is in the right place.
It's fair time in Piatt County. Join the fun June 11th through the 15th in Cerro Gordo. From floriculture and livestock shows to extreme zip lines, bounce houses, and rock walls. There's fun for everyone. Enjoy the beer barn, tasty food vendors, karaoke with Rock and Randy, and live music all weekend long. Catch Silver Lake Friday nights and Killen Marcus on Saturday in the beer barn. Don't miss the Name That Tune music raffle, Fireworks Friday, the top rod pedal pull, and tractor pulls galore. The Piatt County Fair, where community and summer memories come alive. Get the full schedule at PiattCountyFair.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Netflix buffering, YouTube spinning, devices not connecting, Zoom calls dropping. It's frustrating. Let's end your frustration by signing up for fiber internet in Clinton. Click the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
News time, 7 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 7 o'clock newscast brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and brought to you by Connexus, providing fiber internet to Clinton. Learn more at DeWittDailyNews.com. Many DeWitt County residents have noticed curtailment violations in wind farms owned by Enel Clean Energy. At Monday nights, DeWitt County Land Use Committee meeting, zoning administrator Elizabeth Weichel informed the board local representatives from Enel, Matthew Seville, plans to attend next week's full DeWitt County board meeting and asked what they would like to hear about.
Matthew Seville would like to come to the next board meeting. He has planned for it, and he would like to be there and available to answer any questions you guys have about anything. He kind of wanted to know kind of a rough idea of things that you guys are wanting to know about, so he can have stuff to present to you, because he plans to come to your next board meeting.
DeWitt County residents and board members have noticed videos of curtailment violations popping up on social media. However, in the operations report Weichel received from Enel, they claim to have no violations. The committee plans to ask Seville about those violations at the board meeting.
So, speaking about that, were you able to get their operational reports for April and May?
Yep.
Find violations?
No, I have exactly what they gave me. They gave me what they give me every month, and it says that they turned off. It says that they were at 0. It says that the National Weather Service notified them at a certain time, and then they turned it back on.
I believe I'd like to review those reports, because I think on April the 1st, I know for a fact they were still operating 10 minutes after the alarm went out, and that was beyond what we set up for acceptable.
There's actual multiple videos on Facebook of it, at least April 2nd. There may be other dates, but people in different areas of the wind farm plot.
Weichel noted in her zoning report she is currently working with 4 different solar operations that will be ready to make their applications to the county soon, one of which is Prairie Flats, a 900-plus acre solar project with battery storage that is very close to completing the process.
I am currently working with 4 solar companies now on their siting permits, and one is very, very close to applying, and so probably at your board meeting next week, I will have a list of dates for you for a hearing for them. That's how close they are. So I've kind of put together a list of dates because we have to publish 15 days ahead of the hearing, and we have to get all of this done within a 60-day window once they finally send in the check and the final application. And I expect I will have that this week probably. Prairie Flats, they were the first to the finish line. That one is the one that's going out by what used to be, was it Draw Parks out in that area? And it's 900 acres, I want to say, and it does have battery storage. I've been reviewing the documents with them, and they have already started sending them to Terry Fountain. That's how close they think they are. They asked me to do one final review before they submit their actual check and the copies for the board.
Weichel also noted battery storage ordinances have been going through the Zoning Board of Appeals and have been tabled. This is due to the meeting taking place before the end of the state legislative session and came back at the recommendation of Board Chair Joe Whitty.
What is the status of the battery storage unit with the ZBA?
The ZBA decided to table it because they were given the advice that there was legislation going through the state of Illinois, and they didn't want to have to come back after they passed it and make massive changes if the state votes and says that it has to be a certain way. They didn't want to pass something and then have to go back and fix it. So they were waiting to see what the state said, but the state did not get it passed before they got out of session.
Yeah.
So now
I made
they're
that
kind of stuck.
recommendation today. I called them, and the day they were going to meet, they had two other items on the agenda. I just suggest you may not want to get too deep into the discussion because whatever they pass, it may just all get thrown out anyway.
The committee also made a motion to include Chastain Engineering in the approved firms for wind and solar applications that come into DeWitt County. This would pair them with Cummins Engineering to effectively share the workload that comes into DeWitt County. A scholarship in the name of the late John Warner has been established, and its first recipient is a recent graduate of Clinton High School, Maureen Collins Kolb, with the Warner Kolb Foundation, tells Regional Radio. They are seeking to honor the memory of John Warner through 2 new scholarships and a partnership with the Clinton Community Education Foundation, or the CCEF.
I'm here as a representative of the Warner and Kolb Family Foundation, and we are announcing 2 new scholarships that will honor the late John Warner IV, who was a Clinton businessman, philanthropist, aviator, and someone who just really cared very deeply about education and the value it has for young adults. And so we have 2 scholarships that we're working with, and we're really grateful to be able to work with the Clinton Community Educational Foundation, who are going to be administering these scholarships. So the first and kind of biggest one is the John Warner IV Memorial Scholarship. And this scholarship is designed to really fundamentally change the growth potential and set of opportunities that are available for the recipients and their families. It's a 4-year, $25,000 per year scholarship for students attending a competitive out-of-state college or university, and it's renewed each year. So over the course of 4 years, they can receive up to $100,000. And this is really stems from John's view of philanthropy. John really cared a lot about what we call catalytic giving, which is a bit of a mouthful, but catalytic giving is something that John thought it's more than writing a check. It's really thinking about how you can leverage resources and skills and relationships to help create and sustain transformative change. A great example of this is John was a big initial supporter of the vault on the square there that's done so much great work. And John really wanted to help not just make a gift, but really help challenge the community to get behind this organization. And, all the credit due to the vault for sure for all that work, but John really helped jump it to the next level as they were getting their fundraising started.
One of Warner's final big projects before his passing was the aviation exhibit at the C.H. Moore Homestead in the summer of 2023. Collins Kolb says his love of aviation will be the basis for a second scholarship in his name.
John was also a big aviator. He loved to fly and loved to encourage other people to get involved in and be interested in aviation. So the second scholarship is the Warner and Kolb Aviation Scholarship, and it's a 2-year, $2,500 per year scholarship for a DeWitt County high school graduate or recent graduate who's pursuing vocational training in aviation or aviation maintenance. And so the first scholarship for that one will begin in spring of 2026. And I also wanted to mention that the John Warner IV Memorial Scholarship does have its first recipient already named. And this is the awardee of the first scholarship is CHS graduating senior Grace Duke. She was the salutatorian of this year's senior class, and this fall she'll be attending the University of Kentucky. And Grace is a great example of the kind of student we want to support and encourage and really help her live up to her amazing potential.
For now, the scholarship recipient for the $25,000 a year scholarship will be one student every 4 years. According to Collins Kolb, there will be some criteria for the recipient to maintain the scholarship.
As of right now, there's going to be one John Warner IV Memorial Scholar at a time. So the next recipient will be named as someone who's in the graduating class of 2029. The foundation hopes to have more scholars going at a time, but for now it's one at a time. To maintain eligibility, a recipient has to maintain a B grade point average or above. They have to maintain enrollment as a full-time student. They have to pursue a summer employment that is professional or academic in nature, and they also have to register to vote. And those are the main requirements that we have for maintaining eligibility. And so for seniors or people who are going to be looking to apply in the future, they really have to be kind of at high levels of academic success and community involvement, and be looking at attending an out-of-state college or university that is an academically challenging program.
Collins Kolb indicates the Warner family was very close with her husband's family. This is why they set up the Warner Kolb Foundation and this scholarship in John's name.
John Warner was a really close family friend of mine, my husband, Jonah Kolb, who is the president of Moore & Warner Farm Real Estate. He grew up knowing John Warner his whole life. John Warner was actually college roommates with my husband's father, and John was the best man at their wedding. So Jonah knew John his whole life, and he was a part of their family and their lives through his whole growing up. And actually in Jonah's undergraduate, he came and spent a semester working at Moore & Warner. And then when Jonah was in business school, in graduate school, he spent some time working on a project with Moore & Warner as well. And then when he finished business school, came and got involved with the Moore & Warner business, eventually kind of taking it over as John was ready to step back and retire. So for me and my family, John was really an integral part of our lives and our family in Clinton. He became a second father to my husband. He was another grandfather to my kids. And actually this week, we are approaching the 2-year anniversary of John's passing. He passed away on June 12th of 2023. So this is really great timing that we are able to announce and share publicly this scholarship, which we feel like really honors the life and legacy of such a wonderful man.
The mission of the Warner and Kolb Family Foundation is to foster the education and opportunity that enable individuals and communities to make lasting positive contributions to the people and world around them. Many visitors to Weldon Springs regularly visit the Schoolhouse and Nature Center during the summer months. The Schoolhouse and Nature Center are open for the season, and on the WHOW Morning Show Monday, Patty Kinder, Conservation Education Representative, told Regional Radio they have had a very busy start to the season.
I'm there Wednesday through Sunday from 7 to 3. If you're just out and about, stop by. I'll give you a tour of the buildings. The schoolhouse is set up for an 1865 one-room schoolhouse. There are animals in a smaller room off to the side, which used to be actually a coat room. And then we have a history room also with a lot of pictures. And then the Nature Center is the Texas Township Hall, which came from Osper Road. And that is a nature center full of taxidermied animals. We have feathers, we have information on the flowers, the prairie flowers, animals, that type of. I don't think people understand the history of Weldon Springs. We had Chautauquas out there in the early 1800s, or excuse me, 1900s. And of course, 1865 one-room schoolhouse. I talk about what it was like in that time and what the kids would learn, how they learned, that type of thing. You can come in anytime. I've had people out, you just walking, they'd stop by, people in the campground would come over. When you have a group, I do like to have a heads up so that I can kind of maybe prepare for you. And I kind of sort of close things down so that when I have a group, especially a group of 20 or so, that way there I'm focused on that group. So you can contact me at my email, Weldon Springs Foundation @yahoo.com. You get a hold of us also through our Facebook page. But I have field trips out there all the time, homeschooling groups, small schools, church groups come out, YMCA. It really has. Yeah, there's a lot of people. I'm there, like I said, at 7:00 in the morning. So a lot of times it's people out walking. They're walking on the grounds of the schoolhouse. They're walking around the park. Their dogs are out there. It is very busy out there. Actually, I had 64 people come last Thursday. I had my own group out there, and then another group came out with 2 separate groups of teens. Love to have people out, and the busier it is, the better it is.
The one-room schoolhouse is always a great learning experience for young kids. Kinder explains many find it hard to believe that kids of different grade levels would share the same
They're
classroom.
always shocked. In that schoolhouse, they had 1st grade through 8th grade, and you can see the desks are kind of different sizes. They do have smaller desks for the 1st graders, the littler ones, and then bigger desks. The kids today are always shocked to find out that 1st grade through 8th grade were all taught in the same building. They're also surprised that a lot of times it was a male teacher due to the fact that the women would get married. They wouldn't work anymore. They weren't allowed to work. They stayed home just to sit there. They're always wondering what the big bench is up front, the recitation bench. A group would come up and sit down. Everybody else had to be quiet while the teacher taught that one grade.
One of the unique aspects of the Schoolhouse and Nature Center at Weldon Springs is that it is almost exclusively hands-on. Kinder points out they have several animals for students to touch and hold.
Well, the taxidermied animals are always fun. There's a lot of animals that I don't know where they all came from, but the one I do, the beaver, I have that over in the Nature Center. That was actually found in the park in 2005. I have an article that tells about how Dave Herzog had found it dead in the park, thought it would make a good learning tool. So he had it stuffed. He might have actually stuffed it himself because I found out recently that he was a taxidermist. We have a lot of little animals, squirrels, and we have a possum. We have a ton of owls and some hawks, and those are always really cool. We have a couple of owls that have their wings spread. The kids love looking at that. And then we have heron. That is very interesting to the kids because it's up above and it's looking down on them. Our museum is hands-on. We always ask the kids to be gentle, but yes. And sometimes things are up a little higher. I'll bring them down so the kids can touch them. I had a little girl in on Sunday and she wanted to touch everything and she kept asking. And I was like, touch it, just touch it. But I bring some stuff down to her and she gently touched the feathers. You don't always get a chance to touch the feather of a hawk. So it's kind of neat for the kids to be able to do that.
The season of activities is underway at Weldon Springs. Kinder is beginning a walking group at the park. The first comes up this Thursday. Anyone interested in a light walk can meet at the Schoolhouse at 10 a.m.
On Thursday, I thought about an adult walking group. There's a lot of people out there walking, and some people have said that they don't really want to walk alone. So I thought, let's do something. So this Thursday at 10, we'll meet at the Schoolhouse. Whoever wants to come out. I'm starting on just a simple walk around the prairie. There are people who want to walk but have a hard time. So we're going to work with what the people we have and what they want to do. So it'll be different. It's my first walking group, so I don't know what's going to happen, but come out and walk with us.
It will be a busy weekend at Weldon Springs. We'll have more on the activities for Father's Day weekend and Flag Day at Weldon Springs later this week on Regional Radio. For more information on all things Weldon Springs, you can find the Weldon Springs State Park Foundation Facebook page or visit their new website, wsfil.org. News time, 25 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday. More to come next.
Looking for a new Silverado? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. We have a good selection of new Silverado inventory. We have Silverados in 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s with several trim levels, custom, LT, RST, LTZ, and yes, even high countries. All our inventory is priced for our summer savings season. Baum Chevrolet Buick. Together, let's drive. BaumChevroletBuick.com right from the start.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
News time, 26 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded newscast. As the Illinois FFA convention begins in Springfield, FFA delegates will consider adding a new state officer position. More from the RFD Radio Network's Jim Taylor.
Currently, there are 5 state officer positions within Illinois FFA, but that could change this week, says Mindy Bunzelmeyer, Illinois FFA Center Executive Director.
This convention is particularly a little bit more historic if the delegates vote on our constitutional amendment. It was brought forth by previous major state officer teams, the need for an additional major state officer, simply because of our growth in not only number of chapters, but number of conferences that we offer, number of programming pieces that are in place. There's definitely a need for an additional officer to spread that workload of being a major state officer. And so it was proposed by the team and discussed at the FFA board, put forth by the students to change our constitution and add Sentinel to our major state officer team. So we would go from 5 major state officers to 6. So FFA board, as I said, presented by the students, approved by the adults of the FFA board, and now goes before the membership. It is a constitutional change, so it will require 2/3 of the delegates on Tuesday, June 10th to vote in favor of it. But if they do, then we will elect our first state sentinel on Thursday, June 12th. And so it could be really historic for that individual who becomes the first state sentinel, but just really historic for the organization as we continue to grow and expand our reach and expand our opportunities to members. So yeah, big opportunity, big thing on the docket, if you will. Some years I can just tell you, oh, we're voting on state degrees and improving our honoraries. But this year, this one's big.
This is the 97th Illinois FFA Convention in Springfield. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
And the outgoing Illinois FFA president is reflecting on his year in office as his term comes to an end.
Trenton Payne will leave the stage on Thursday. He says it's been quite the ride.
I mean, I look back at all my past adventures, and I could have never asked for a better year to serve Illinois FFA. And so just having it all come to an end is just, it's really sad. And so ultimately, I'll graciously give the next team my best wishes, but yeah, it's not going to be an easy one to let go of.
So if you kind of circle back to last year at this time, do you remember some of the things you were going through? And I guess what advice would you have for those potential state officer candidates?
Oh yeah, man. To be honest, I was a wreck. Preparing for selection committee was one of the most stressful times in my senior year, definitely, probably high school career. But as far as advice goes, I'd really just say the more time you put into something, the better your chances are going to be at succeeding, right? And so to me, it's all about effort. I think all of our candidates have the potential to go on to become major state officers.
I know kind of how that state officer term works, a lot of chapter visits early in the term. It's interesting to see how chapters may do things a little bit differently. How eye-opening was that for you?
Oh my gosh, it was some of the programs I would never have been exposed to unless I was an Illinois FFA state officer.
And the Illinois FFA convention is at the Bank of Springfield Center and wraps up on Thursday. News time, 29 minutes after 7 o'clock at News Anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. A look at local sports comes up next.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. The unrest in the streets of Los Angeles now in its 5th day, and President Trump is sending 2,000 more National Guard troops and 700 Marines to L.A. He says law and order must be restored. He's also blasting Governor Gavin Newsom's handling of the unrest, calling Newsom grossly incompetent. 13 people wounded and 3 killed. That's the toll taken by the latest Russian missile and drone attack on Ukraine. Ukraine's president saying it's the largest such attack of the 3-year-old war so far. A high school shooting in Austria has left 8 people dead. And in France, a 15-year-old student was stabbed a school worker to death during a bag check. On Wall Street, the Dow futures are up 8 points. More details, srnnews.com.
With SRN Sports, I'm George Williams. In the Stanley Cup Finals last night, the Florida Panthers take a 2-1 lead in games after routing the Edmonton Oilers 6-1 in Game 3.
Brad Marchand and Sam Bennett scored again. Teammates Sam Reinhart and Carter Vanegi each got their first goal of the series. The defending champion Panthers got balanced production and steady goaltending. Florida also chased Edmonton's Stuart Skinner and made their opponent come unglued between and after whistles. Game 4, Thursday night at Florida.
That's correspondent Andrew Stewart. NBA playoffs continue tomorrow night between the Thunder and the Pacers with Game 3 in Indiana. Major League Baseball, number of extra inning games last night, including the Diamondbacks over the Mariners 8-4 in 11 innings. In that game, Josh Naylor hit a walk-off grand slam for the Arizona victory. 4 other extra inning games in Major League Baseball. We'll cover those scores in just a moment. This is SRN Sports. And continuing with Major League Baseball scores from last night, in 11 innings, the Phillies over the Cubs 4-3. Blue Jays beat the Cardinals 5-4. In 11, the Rays over the Red Sox 10-8. And in 10 innings, the Dodgers down the Padres 8-7. Elsewhere, the Braves over the Brewers 7-1. Reds beat the Guardians 7-4. Pirates down the Marlins 10-3. And it was the Angels over the Athletics 7-4. Lots of storylines at the U.S. Golf Open this week, including one about a hometown Cinderella story, one of the few amateurs to qualify. He's asking his dental patients to allow him a week away to play.
Matt Vogt, who runs a dental practice near Indianapolis, qualified as an amateur for the 156-man field.
I knew that it was an absolute pipe dream to get here.
Vogt grew up north of Pittsburgh and caddied for a few years at Oakmont, which is hosting the U.S. Open for the 10th time.
That reference from Gethin-Kuba to Oakmont Country Club. This is SRN Sports.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. Luke Clunky went 6 2/3 innings of shutout ball, leading Normal Community to a 2-0 win over Waubonsee Valley in a Class 4A Supersectional Monday from Illinois Wesleyan University in Normal. Clunky struck out 5, working around 5 walks and 4 hits. Luke Beatty struck out the game's final batter to preserve the Ironmen's shutout. Kyle Beatty and Brady Burkhart drove in runs for Normal Community, and Gavin Michaels hit a triple that set up Beatty's RBI. Normal Community improves to 36-4 overall and advances to this weekend's state finals. They will take on Libertyville at 4 o'clock on Friday in Joliet. Bennett Academy jumped out early and held off Washington 6-3 in a Class 3A Supersectional from Geneseo Monday. Micah McCoy hit a solo home run in the top of the first inning for the Panthers, but Bennett responded with 4 runs and held on from there. McCoy finished 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run scored on the solo home run. Anson Zeiser was 2 for 4. Washington finishes the season 28-11. Class 3A Supersectional baseball action from Monday from Milliken Indicator. Champaign Central was blanked by Troy Triad 10-0. Class 3A Supersectional softball action from Monday from Illinois Wesleyan in Normal. Providence Catholic outlasted Pontiac in 9 innings, 5-4. From Milliken Indicator, Chatham Glenwood edged Centralia 2-1. Brandon Marsh singled home the winning run in the 11th inning after the Phillies used 2 bunt hits to load the bases and beat the Cubs 4-3 Monday night. Ian Happ tied it at 2 for Chicago on a solo homer off Matt Strom in the 8th. Pete Crow Armstrong hit an RBI double in the 11th off Carlos Hernandez for a 3-2 lead. JT Real Muto made it 3-all when he drove in the automatic runner with a single off Daniel Palencia. The Phillies then improbably got 2 straight bunt singles. The first from Bryson Stott, a late inning replacement after he was benched amid a 2-for-24 slump. Then from rookie third baseman and undrafted Division II prospect Otto Kemp, who had the third of his first 3 big league hits in the game to set up the clutch swing from Marsh. The Phillies needed this one after they were swept in 3 games last weekend at Pittsburgh. Philadelphia was 1-9 in its last 10 games and fell from the top of the NL East. Cubs manager Craig Counsell was ejected for the 2nd straight game after getting tossed Sunday at Detroit. Counsell was thrown out in the 9th inning for arguing that Kemp ran out of the baseline on an infield single. The Cubs send Colin Ray to the mound opposite Phillies right-hander Mick Abel tonight. Alejandro Kirk homered and had 4 hits, including a go-ahead double in the 10th inning as the Blue Jays rallied in a 5-4 win over the Cardinals Monday night. Kirk opened the 10th with a double off Phil Maton to score automatic runner Addison Barger from second base. Jeff Hoffman pitched a 1-2-3 ninth for his 16th save in 19 opportunities, helping the Blue Jays win for the 10th time in 12 games. Kirk launched his 4th home run, a solo shot on a full count pitch from reliever Riley O'Brien for a 3-0 lead in the 8th inning. But in the bottom half, Wilson Contreras singled home the Cardinals' first run, and Ivan Herrera hit a 3-run homer off Yariel Rodriguez to put the Cardinals up 4-3. Chris Bassett takes the ball for Toronto opposite Cardinals right-hander Miles Michaelis. Get sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times today, with daytime highs approaching 78. Westerly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 59. Tonight, mainly clear skies. Ample sunshine expected. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 86. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Currently 61.
Let's check Ag News on the RFD Radio Network. I'm DeLaw's Yonke. Just about wrapped up. According to Ag Statistics, the weekly crop progress and condition report shows the Illinois corn crop's down 97% planted. The 5-year average is 96. 89% of the crop has emerged.